face it, we have to acknowledge there are algorithms out there and they're set up for a certain way. And Facebook is set up for people to connect, for people to refer people. And so when you're doing that, Facebook's loving it, they're loving it. It's a win-win for sure.
No more burnout, no more fear. We'll build it strong, make it clear. Not just a grind, but a dream that's true. Building a business that works for you.
Welcome back to the Builder's Edge podcast, where we master the business side of building as we dive deep into the strategies that empower builders and contractors. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Amon Medinger, the force behind Home Healer Handyman Service. With a strong reputation for reliability and excellence, Amon has become a go-to expert for homeowners seeking for high-quality services. We'll explore his journey, wisdom, and insights that have propelled his business forward. Amon, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Deanna, I appreciate you having me on. This is going to be a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah, we're going to have a ball. Okay, Amon, so just give us a little bit of background. Can you share a bit about how you started in this industry and what inspired the creation of Home Healer Handyman Service?
Well, so my story kind of started back. I was sitting behind a desk for quite a few years, 11 years, doing tech support, and my basement flooded. And in that process of trying to renovate the basement, get everything taken out, get everything put back in, I learned a lot of skills from my dad. My dad was into construction for a while and was very handy, always tinkering in the garage. Same with my grandpa. I had a lot of people around me, a lot of guys around me that were tinkerers and fixers, and so I learned a lot of skills from them. So in that process of redoing my basement, I gathered the skills and the tools that I needed to complete that job. Along with friends, I have electricians, I have plumber friends, that would come and help and stuff. Well, that kind of led me from behind the desk to actually doing bathroom remodel for a company, local company, their franchise. And so I did some bathroom remodel. And again, you're around the plumbers, you're around the electricians, you're around the drywallers, you're around all these guys that have all these skills, and they all do things a little bit different. And so it was really interesting to be able to just kind of sit back and observe and watch these guys work, and just kind of pick up on little nuances of things that they do different than other guys that were really beneficial. And so it's just a matter of gathering that information over time just by watching and learning. And now now we look at YouTube, we can go to YouTube and we can watch a video, we can watch 10 guys, we can watch, 50 guys do the same thing, and you can pick up little things on little nuances of how they do things. And so that's kind of how I got started. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great resource, YouTube. Yes, I have definitely accomplished several things that I probably wouldn't have even tackled before by a YouTube video. Yeah, so
you got to be careful too, because there's a lot of them out there that don't know what they're talking about. So you got to kind of
it is definitely a rabbit hole and a lot of filtering going on for sure. You can spend quite a few hours but it is a great resource.
It is.
So how did you go from that into pulling all that together and deciding for the business that you have now?
Well, actually, it was kind of an unfortunate accident. I guess silver lining in the clouds, if you will. I actually injured myself and had to have surgery on my hip. I tore my labrum, and I kind of partially detached my hamstring, and so that kind of set me back from doing the heavy stuff. And when I was coming out of that rehab, it was kind of like, okay, I need to keep doing what I'm doing, the skills that I have, but I need to do it on a lighter level. And so I was able to take my knowledge from doing the commercial construction stuff, because I did work for a commercial construction company in town. I did some trim work and did a bunch of different things. But I was able to step away from that and do the handyman full time, because it's light duty stuff. It's stuff that I can do that's not heavy lifting. And I also enjoy, myself personally, I like to get into a customer's house and knock out a big list of things. If I can get in there, knock out 6, 7, 8, 10 things, in a day's time, versus being stuck on a project for, say, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I would much rather help, 10 people a week than help one person over 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So it's kind of why I stepped into the handyman space, because I'm able to help more people and just kind of, you can get out there and just get more done.
That's a good point. I never thought of it that way. That is a whole different dynamic at the job site. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's you knew that was the fit for you.
Yep.
Okay. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced in this business, choosing this one? And how did you overcome those too?
Well, I would say to start, just getting started, it seems a little daunting. It's kind of overwhelming when you're deciding that you're going to do something new and really
Oh yeah.
stepping out on a limb. Because I was walking away from a full-time job, had all the benefits and everything
Ugh.
into this new venture called Handyman, and that's a little bit of a scary thing when you got a family of five that's depending on
Oh
that
my.
paycheck. So, but my wife, she trusted that I was, looking into what we needed to be doing and everything, and so I really had really good, you know, support from her and from the kids.
That matters.
Um, but yeah, that was basically just. I would say the biggest challenge up front was just I was getting up in my head too much. I was overthinking things,
Okay.
and I was having a hard time starting. Like I was just stuck. Like I had the information. I was reaching out there. I was reaching out to guys, getting the information, but I felt stuck, and I was like I wasn't taking action on the information that I was given. Um, and really, what broke me free from that was a gentleman that I was getting some information from on starting a handyman business. He reached out to me one day, and just in a message, he just said, "I don't know where you're at with starting your business, but I just want to tell you, stop overthinking it. Just start with step one. Just start with step one." And I'm like, okay. So I went to step one, which was tell your friends and family that you're starting your
Starting your
business,
business.
and that's it. So I copy and pasted his information into a group chat with my family. Step one. And within 24 hours, I had landed my first job. It was like about a $5,000 um,
Oh wow.
weekend job, just doing flooring, doing some doors, doing a little bit of drywall work, some light fixtures, things like that. Just, but that really opened me up to the possibility of like, okay, like this thing is real. I can do this. I just
Yeah.
got to get out of my head. I just got to take the action. I just got, it's like I have the information. I just got to take the action on that and go out there and do it.
Yeah, great, great advice. Don't overthink it. Just do it. Just do and make the first step. Yeah, they have said that, just announce that you're doing it, is a great first step.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about future trends. So what do you see future trends maybe emerging, and how's that going to affect your business, you think, or how you're going to adapt?
That's a great question. Um, Kind of what I've been seeing is that we have a generation of handymen that are retiring, like my dad's age. They're getting out of the business, and there are not really a whole lot of people stepping up into those areas. You got people going into the trades. You got your electricians going in, your plumbers going in, drywallers going in, but you don't really have. It's kind of a niche market. Um,
It is very
you don't
much.
really you don't have guys that can go in and do a little bit of everything, the jack of all trades type of people. You don't see that as much anymore. So there's a huge opportunity there right now for growth. Number one, for our business, but also just for anybody who's wanting to get into that space. Like I started out doing a side hustle. It was after work, I was going to a client's house and doing stuff for 2 hours,
Uh-huh.
do that every night after work, and within 4 months, I was able to quit my job because I was able to make or earn enough money on the side more than what I was making in my full-time job.
Wow.
So, there's
Within
definitely
4 months.
within 4 months. Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
So I quit. So October is when I started the business, 2 years ago, and I quit in April pretty much. So.
So do you think maybe your way of adapting to that, or do you think maybe, it's a point to maybe growing your business, like pulling more in and maybe starting some, kind of mentor type thing and, bring somebody in is maybe how you might be adapting to that since it's an open market.
Yep, it absolutely is, and I love helping people. So I'm on a lot of different handyman groups on Facebook.
Okay.
That's part of my strategy with my business page is just to be out there and be social. And what I've been finding is that a lot of guys are reaching out like, "Hey, I'm having problems with this. Can you help me?" And I'm like, absolutely. So I'll message back and forth, or I've even jumped on quite a few calls with guys that are just starting their businesses, and it's fun to see them launch. Like I got guys in a guy in Florida, I got a guy in Tennessee, and it's just fun to see like what they're doing now and just kind of how they're getting their getting their feet underneath them a little bit with the business. Um, but I do see my kind of one of my goals is to get into more of like a coaching mentorship. Like let's help these guys get off the ground with their businesses. Um, and eventually, big vision, big dream. Like I was asked this question last weekend at an event. What's your big vision for your business? And like they're talking like huge, like world domination type goals, and it
Mm.
really stretched me to think because I'm a local guy. I live in a village of 1,200 people. It's like I don't, this is my world right here. But big vision would be to be able to franchise, to have Home Healer Handyman Services being a franchise where you can buy into it and we can have fleets of handymen that can go out and we'll train them up. And so that's kind of where my big vision is at, is to be able
Oh,
to kind of establish a footprint and even getting into like disaster relief fleets and things like that. So it
yeah.
can go so many different routes, but right
Yeah,
now, right now it's just here. It's just in my little village and it's just me.
that's great, but that's great to have a plan to share, what you are, growing and what you've put together, and to teach and mentor. It's such a, you give back, but boy, you get a lot out of that. It's almost like, what is it? Giving is as much as great as receiving, and it's kind of the same thing, giving
Absolutely.
and helping that with a mentor. Okay, so you got to have clients. So lead generation is crucial for business growth. So what tactics have you worked for in attracting and like converting potential clients?
Um, for me, it's been, I would say, 98% organic, meaning that I use Facebook as a platform to just connect with people and just to socialize. I'm not buying ads. I'm not going to Angie's List. I'm not doing those kinds of things. Not paying for leads. For me, it's just been 100. Well, I shouldn't say 100% organic because I do. Every once in a while, I'll do just a Facebook ad, just more for brand awareness, just to kind of widen
Yeah.
the audience a little bit, just to get the
Hmm.
name a little wider in the area.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, basically the leads for us have just been organic through just conversations. Um,
Yeah.
One thing I do a lot of is groups, Facebook groups, like local groups, the community groups.
Uh-huh.
Even you can even break it down into like neighborhoods. So there's like Edenton,
Yeah.
there's Edenton South. Like you can join these groups. And there's mom groups, there's dad, and
Yeah.
all the things. And what I do is I show up once a day in those groups, and all I'm doing is I'm just being social. I'm not selling my business. I'm not promoting myself. I'm not saying, hey, you should, come pick me. I'm literally just going in there and just leaving comments. I'm leaving likes. I'm referring. I refer a lot of work to other people in the area. So someone's like, this morning I was on for 15 minutes before we jumped on this call,
Uh-huh.
and they're like, "Hey, my dishwasher's backing up. Well, that is something that I can help, but I'm just going to refer Don, my plumber. I'm going to tag his business in it. Give Don a call. He's the best. Or my electrician. I have this. Give Scotty a call. He's the best. Tag his business page in. And I'm always referring work to the guys that I sub work to. Someone
Yes.
like my master plumber and all those guys. So, but what that does is that builds trust within that community because people are seeing that you're not the guy who's just trying to dominate and step on people.
Right.
You're bringing people in and you're giving them a source, like here's who you need to go to get your problem solved. Um,
Absolutely.
so
That's
I
great.
also refer a lot of work. There's a couple other local handyman here. There's a younger kid that he's got a little one at home and stuff like that. And if it's something I can't get to, or if it's something that maybe I don't necessarily want the work, I point them to them and just say, here's the guy you want to get a hold of. So competition for me, it's like there's enough work out there for everybody right now in the handyman field. So I don't really believe in trying to dominate the other guys in the area. I'm actually referring people to them, and that's just
That's wonderful.
part of my
Yes,
story.
and even though, that's all the connections that all of the community needs, it also is, pleasing the algorithm of Facebook because we have to face it. We have to acknowledge there are algorithms out there and they're set up for a certain way, and Facebook is set up for people to connect, for people to refer people. And so when you're doing that, Facebook's loving it, they're loving it. It's a win-win for sure.
It is.
It is. Okay. So customer satisfaction. So tell us about a time when you went above and beyond for a customer and how it impacted your business.
It's a great question. So I try to do that with every customer because one thing that's different with the handyman business versus like a contractor business, like a builder business, is that you're actually going into someone's living space. Like you're not just going into a new build, you're not just going into a commercial space where they don't live. You're actually going into their sanctuary where they're raising their kids, where they're at, day and
Your
night eating
safe
around the dinner table.
place.
Right.
Yeah.
And so um, to me, building that trust is like it's key. Like you
Yeah.
have to build that trust with these people up front. And that's part of telling your story too with the personal branding stuff on Facebook is
Yeah.
like they're buying into you before they even buy into you.
Yeah.
I've had so many people say like I've been following your page for a few months now and they've already made the decision. Like I don't have to do any sales because they already make the decision themselves that they're going to go with me for the work
Yeah.
because they follow the page. So I think that's really crucial. But one time I would say, just one example I could think of right off the bat is I always try to find something in the house that needs repair or fixed. That's, it doesn't take me hardly any time to do it, but it's something that is a kind of a pain point for them that they didn't hire me to come in to do. So like, for example, what happened is I was in this one customer's house. I was hanging a couple of new doors for him in the basement, but every time I was going in and out of the front door, the door was just sticking really bad. The doors always sag and
Yeah.
whatnot. And um, so I mentioned the door to him. I'm like the door's sticking pretty bad. Oh yeah, it's been that way for 10 years. We lived here. It blows open in the wintertime and the dog runs out and lose a dog and stuff like that. And so before I left, I just did a door adjustment. It took me 5 minutes to fix that door. And she was like, "You've got to be kidding me. That door has been like that for 10 years and you fixed it like in 5 minutes."
You're a
But
miracle worker.
yeah, but it's just,
Yeah.
it's something that's simple. It's an easy fix. It doesn't cost me any, it cost me 5 minutes of my time.
Right.
But the impact that it left for their family is now we have a door that locks because they couldn't lock it. I'm like,
My
you couldn't lock your
gosh.
door, you couldn't lock your house for 10 years, like, and just that peace of mind, like just doing the little things that are a little bit above and beyond what they're hiring you to do. Cleaning up after yourself, that's a huge one.
Huge
Like
one.
huge
Huge
one.
one.
Again, when
Yeah,
you're in someone's living space, it's not like you're on a new build. You know,
absolutely.
I tell
Yeah.
people the number one tool you're going to hear the most in your house when I'm working in your house is a vacuum. And I think that they really appreciate that.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. That showing up when you say you're going to show up and being done when you say you're going to be done. Those are
yep.
just three very key things. Okay, so decision making and faith. Can you share how your faith guides you in making those tough business decisions, or maybe in times of like uncertainty?
Yeah, that's a really interesting one too because my faith journey, I was born and raised Catholic, and then I fell out of the church, and I came, just kind of one of those ebb and flows in faith. Um, and getting started with this business was a huge leap because again, we're going from having full-time job, construction income, like going from that to jumping and just okay, let's just see if this works. I mean, that was a huge
Yeah,
leap. And for me, it was very clear. I was praying over it, and it was just very clear. Um, I have the picture back there is of Peter, sinking because he took his eyes off
hmm
of Christ and he was
hmm
sinking, and so I had that up there as my reminder of like, okay, when I feel like I'm sinking, just remember like God's got this. Like and there's been so many times in the last few years where I felt like I was sinking. I'm like, my head's below water, finances aren't coming in. I mean, just things like that. I felt stuck, and just I pray over it, and God's just like, why are you worrying about this? Like, why?
That's
Like
my
literally,
job,
like,
right?
that's my job. Like, give that to me. Give me your worries, and I will provide for you. And
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding when I say that. Like, I've had two specific moments in the last year that happened, and I surrendered it, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how this is even going to pan out. I don't know how this is going to work. And by the end of that day, I would have like six deposits come in
Oh my
that was like
God.
way above and beyond like what I needed to cover the bills that I was fretting about. And it's just like, okay, all right, I trust you. So
Yes.
it's a
And
hard thing to do.
uh, that's entrepreneurship. I mean, you are like on top of the mountain, and the next time you're down in the valley. And it is hard, when you're on down in that valley part to say, okay, you got this, and totally turn it over. So that's quite an accomplishment. So,
One thing I've learned about that, what you just said about
uh,
being down in the valley. Um, I can't remember where I heard this. I heard this, I don't know if it was a song or a podcast, but I heard him say that yes, the valleys you might be in the shadows, you might be down in those areas, but that's where the water's at.
oh, the living water.
There's life in the valley. Like that's where
Yeah.
the life is at. That's where the trees are. That's where the flower, that's where life is in the valley. That's where the
Yes.
water is. And I got to remember that every time that I'm below
Down in
the
there.
surface there, it's just like, okay, here's where the water's at. Like this is going to be good.
Yeah, that's good. I love it. That's good. Okay, so let's talk about maybe an aspiring somebody who's thinking about getting into this business. So, other than just take that first step, do you have any other advice for them?
Yeah, I would say if you're just getting ready to take the first step, getting into your own business for becoming a handyman, it's important to have people around you who know who've traveled that road. Um, I mean, if you're going into it alone and blind, you only know what you know. And for me, I had to connect. I had to connect with people. I had to connect with a coach. I had to connect with other business minds. I started just ingesting. I instead of reading or not reading. I'm sorry. Instead of listening to music while I'm driving, I was putting podcasts on. I'm like, this guy knows social media like the back of his hand. I'm going to listen to him, and I learned so much from him. There's a guy who one of my big favorite guides is Ed Milet. I don't know if you've ever heard of Ed, but Ed Milet, he's an incredible man. I actually got a chance to meet him here in a month. I'm really excited.
Oh,
Um,
good.
but I just got to start. You got to start plugging that information in. You got to start working on the personal development and working through those hard trigger points that stop you from taking action. Like the biggest thing is to take action. And when you feel stuck, find somebody who can free that up because there's somebody that can just give you a little bit of information, a coach, a mentor, listening to a podcast versus listening to just music, things like that. Just anything that can shake loose, like get you out of your head and start thinking forward. It's going to move the needle. And it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be big. It just little things, just little things move the needle. And that's the most important thing, I think.
Yes, the believe it or not, the turtle does win the race. Yeah,
True.
those little constant steps that turtle makes wins the race. And I love that, submerging yourself, throw all that other stuff that doesn't get you anywhere out the window and immerse yourself in it, and then take the time to come back out of that too and have your breaks from that and then immerse yourself in it, listen to everything you can, and that's good advice, really good advice. Okay, so on a little lighthearted note, tell us something funny that's happened in your home or your life, with your business or your home life. Tell us a good funny story.
Funny story. Okay. Well, this is kind of handyman related, but it goes back to when I was probably like 7. I'm thinking. Um, my brother, I have an older brother, he's 4 years older than me, and we were wrestling or whatever. And he threw me back on the bed, put my head through the wall, so there was an Amon-sized hole in the wall above the bed. And Dad was getting off work soon, and my brother was kind of freaking out, like, "Oh, Dad's gonna kill us," And so he had all these Michael Jordan posters in his room back in the '80s, and So he pulls a poster off and lowers it down to cover up the hole.
That
And
was
my
quick
dad,
thinking.
yeah, and my dad comes walking in. He's like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" He looks over and he goes, "Why is that poster lower?" Because he saw that it was lower, and it's like, "Oh shoot!" So we revealed, pulled it off, and revealed this hole, and his eyes kind of got big, and he goes, "Mom's gonna be home soon. We need to get this fixed now." So Dad was afraid of being in trouble. So we learned how to do drywall repair. That was my first learning how to do some drywall patching.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, that I'm sure that's happened to several listeners out there. They've wrestled with their family and probably done some damage they've had to repair. But that's a good way to learn, And but that's funny. Dad just knew he was going to be in trouble too. It's like we got to get it fixed before Mom gets home. Okay, I always ask my guests this as well. I want to be a big help to my listeners, and I want to provide the most I can provide for them. So, how do you think I can best serve my listeners?
I would say the advice that you had gotten from, or that you shared with me, that you gotten from the previous guy, is being vulnerable, is a really good one. And that for me, that is kind of the foundation of my brand, is just being open, just being Amon. I'm you know People don't want to listen to a business. They don't want to like, you should come with us. They don't no, they want to connect with the person. They want to
Right.
connect with a human being. And so for me, it's sharing life. It's, when I'm cooking burgers, I'm taking a picture of cooking burgers and throw it up on social, like just showing that you're a real human being. People are going to connect with that on a deeper level than if you were paying for advertisements to try to promote your business. They're gonna go like, oh yeah, this guy likes to spend time with his family. He's got a couple dogs that go for a walk. They're gonna connect with that, and again, that takes all of the sales pressure off of you, because then you don't have to like focus on just selling yourself. Like, people just like you because you're a human being.
Yes, and they have connected with something that is a part of you, that is a part of them, and they just feel that connection. That is, and that in today's digital landscaping, building those genuine connections, that's what sets the business apart.
It is.
And you definitely are doing that through your unique approach of your branding and your building your business. And that's not by showcasing that cookie cutter business page, but it allows for a personal Facebook page to reflect your authenticity. And it shows the real person behind the business. You're right, fostering those true connections, with potential clients. So I'd like to encourage my listeners to take a page from Amon's book and shift your focus. Put that boring business page that you have on hold. Just let it sit there. You're going to need it to run an ad from time to time. But go to your home, your page, because your business is a big part of you, but it's only just a part of you. Show all of it, be vulnerable, put things out there, and one time a week, ask your friends for referrals. Take that Facebook page, and if you're just constantly daily invite 40 people a day to join that Facebook group, and find people out there that you have something in common with, and invite them to be a friend and connect. And that will shift your business for sure. It'll start making that connection. So that's what I want to encourage all my listeners for their call to action, is to do that. To just like you, I was on saw your post the other day, and you were inviting. You had a bunch of like bongos and acoustic kind of instruments, and you said, "Hey, let's have a porch jam." And I thought, "Oh my gosh, that I would love that. I wish I lived close enough. I'd go over there and try to make a beat." But it would, just that feeling of being on the porch and hanging out and making that kind of connection. That was looked very fun, but it showed me who you are. You're somebody who likes to hang out, and make those deep relationship cultivating kind of partnerships and friendships.
Right.
Okay, so before we wrap up, I have one small request for you, Eamon. If you
Okay.
know anyone seeking to kind of enhance their online visibility and climb to the top of Google search for results for more quality leads and increase their inquiries and their lead, I would love to and be delighted if you could refer them to me. My goal is to help businesses to amplify their reach through effective digital strategies. And I believe in, powering and building strong relationships, helping each other. So, my goal is to help businesses amplify their reach through effective strategies and digital strategies and build strong relationships. Your referral would be greatly appreciated as we work together to help other businesses thrive.
I agree. I think that's amazing.
Okay. So, Eamon, it's been fantastic having you on the podcast. Your dedication to quality and innovation in the handyman industry is truly inspiring. For all our listeners who want to learn more about Eamon and his services, be sure to check him out on the Home Healer Handyman Service website and follow him on social media. Thanks again for joining us, Eamon, and keep up the great work in shaping your industry.
Thanks. It was a pleasure being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Eamon.